Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead. Today we're going to be doing another slow cooker recipe with ingredients that we can pull from our food storage shelves in level 1 with the integration of our freezer, refrigerator, and pantry in order to make this. And this is an easy, it's just a dump recipe, taco soup. Now, taco soup is one of our very favorite fall meals. I have prepared in advance by the things that I have home canned to do taco soup fairly easily. But I have never done it in a slow cooker before. I have canned triple beans. This is a quart of beans that includes kidney beans, pinto beans, and it looks like black beans. I sometimes vary the type of beans that I will put in here. I have home canned some chili, and here's some anasazi beans, which is just like, oh, they're pretty close to pinto. And so I'm going to be using things that I have just pulled. We have not been to the store at all for this recipe. I just pulled things right from level 1 food storage. When I make my usual recipe of taco soup, I mix it in a big Dutch oven and cook it on the stove for about 20 minutes. Everything just comes out of a can or out of a jar. And then we have it. And I make a big batch. And it's good enough for us for 3 or 4 meals. And so I just leave it in the refrigerator in a big container, and over the next week we'll eat it all up. Well, one of the things that we have noticed is that it's far better the second and third day, and that is because the flavors have blended. Well, that is exactly what is going to happen today when we do our slow cooker version of this recipe, and I'm following a little bit different recipe than the one that I usually follow. So it will be interesting to see how we like this one compared to the one that I usually do. So the recipe will be in as a link below the description of this video, and we're just going to go ahead. But first I want to talk a little bit about the ingredients. In this frying pan, I have it's actually just a little bit over a pound of hamburger with onions. Now, you can buy hamburger separately from the store. You can chop your onions and have the very same thing. But I have some cooked hamburger with onions in little packets in my freezer, and they are about 3/4 of a pound. Plus I had a half a pound of hamburger left over from one of my recipes. So I just combined the two, and I had a half of an onion left in the refrigerator that I diced and put in here too. So technically I could if I either had 1 or 2 packets from the freezer, but I used one from the freezer and then some leftovers from my refrigerator to make this hamburger with the onions in it. And then the other thing is it calls for a packet of taco seasoning. Now, I don't have taco seasoning in packets. It's a little bit expensive to do it that way considering how much we use it. So I just buy taco seasoning in bulk and measured out an ounce, which is what is in those packets. And that ounce is already mixed in here with the hamburger. And so that is the first thing that is going to be going in to our slow cooker, which I already have on heating up on high. So I'm just going to put that in. The next thing that it calls for is a can of chili beans drained. Well, I don't have that. It is very likely that if we are in a situation where we are unable to get things from the grocery store anymore and we want to make a recipe and we don't have that exact ingredient, it is very likely that we're going to have to do some substitutions. Well, I pulled some substitutions on this recipe. So first of all, I have some canned chili. This chili is without beans. And then I have a pint of anasazi beans that I did in, January of this year, so they're still pretty fresh. So I'm going to, now sometimes you're going to have something that looks like that on the underside. Smelling the beans tells me that there is nothing the matter with it, so this is just some kind of oxidation stuff on the inside of the lid. So this pint of beans is perfectly good. So I'm going to go ahead and add it in. Along with the chili. This is 3 years old. So there's that. And then it calls for a 14-ounce can of tomatoes, garlic, and onions. I don't have that, but I do have a can of Rotel. Rotel is diced tomatoes and green chilies. I added some minced garlic on the top of it, so that's going to go in. Then it calls for a can of stewed tomatoes right here. And it calls for a can of pinto beans and kidney beans, 2 different cans. Well, I have the equivalent right here in this jar of my triple canned beans. This is also 3 years old. And it's just fine. Then it calls for a can of corn drained. So I'm going to drain it really quickly. And put that in. Now I do have some home canned corn, but my cans of corn are older than my home canned corn is, and so I elected to use the older food first. So I'm just going to stir all of this together, and this is going to make a big pot of this soup. And I love taco soup because it's so colorful.
You love it because it's colorful?
I love the colorful. Yes, I do.
Thought you'd like it because of the taste.
Well, I do that too. I love it.
Oh, I see.
And we let it cook on high for 4 hours and we're done. And so hopefully those flavors, because it's cooking low and slow, will all blend together and it will be delicious the first time we eat it, and we won't have to wait 2 or 3 days as we're eating it for it to develop its most robust flavor. So we'll see you back here in about 4 hours. This finished up about 20 minutes ago. I have turned it to the off position, so we're going to come check it out. Now, one of the things that I did was I did a little taste test and found it to be not quite as flavorful as we like. And so I added some more of the taco seasoning mix, probably about another tablespoon, and I also added some more salt. So I would recommend, because I used quite a few substitutions, if you're going to make it exactly according to the recipe, go ahead and make it to the recipe and then taste it and then doctor it as needed. So Jim's going to come take a look at this. One of the other things that I did was I also added 2 cups of water because it was too stiff. It was more like a stiff stew than a soup. It's more soupy now. So if I were to follow the recipe and it was like that, I would not have drained the corn, but rather I would have put the corn liquid in the mixture as well. So right now I'm going to put just a little bit in this bowl. We're going to have this for supper, but we're going to have a little taste test. And Jim is going to put the camera on the tripod and come around. We're going to taste it together. Ready to taste this?
Yeah, I'm ready to taste it.
I'm really anxious to get your opinion because you're very familiar with what our regular taco soup tastes like. I've kind of been tasting this off and on through about the past hour, so my taste buds are already ruined.
They're ruined.
They're ruined for tasting the difference.
Oh, that's...
So I've put a little bit of cheese in here and a little bit of sour cream, the way we usually do it. And here's your spoon. So go ahead and take a little taste and tell me what you think.
Tastes very close to what we normally have.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're happy with it?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So I'm going to take a little taste too and see, with a little cheese and a little sour cream, see what I think.
Probably needs a little more of the taco seasoning, although there was a nice afterbite. Little salt.
I can taste the difference.
Mm-hmm.
I like this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It has a very nice flavor to it.
Yeah, it does.
And we can doctor it individually. You usually usually sometimes, that doesn't make sense. Sometimes you will stir a little bit of salsa into yours as well for additional heat. So I think it's great.
It's very good. It'll work.
It will work. So this is another great recipe, and we just simply pulled ingredients from off of our food storage shelf. So this is a great level 1 meal that you can add to your collection of level 1 meals. If you haven't already added a taco soup, this is a great one. So thank you so much for being with us, and we will see you very soon for more videos.
Take care. We'll see you later.